Are you a pilot that's trying to find a low-time pilot job so you can avoid working as a flight instructor? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you about Cape Air. Howdy, I'm Dr. Andy Moltar. I'm a CFI IIMEI. I used to be a corporate pilot, and now I'm a professor of aviation. And so, my guess is that you're a low-time pilot, or probably working towards your commercial pilot certificate. Maybe you are officially an unemployed commercial pilot and you're looking for a low time pilot job. Well, Cape Air is a Part 135 commuter airline that will hire you well before you reach that 1,500 hours. And so this is an airline, and so you actually begin airline experience, which will look really good on a resume. And so here I am at Cape Air's website. This is just, you want to book a flight, fly Cape Air. So they fly, light twins. And so to actually look at their pilot jobs, you can, this is their main website, capeair.com. Or you go to, you click here, or it's just capeairpilots.com. So, yeah. All right. So if you're wondering what they fly, here's their Tecnam Tecnam P2012 2012 Traveler. And so it seats up, I forget how many seats it is, but it's a relatively small plane. Here you are at the captain's seat or the first officer seat, and then just a whole bunch of passengers here in the back. They also have their Cessna 402C, which kind of looks like that. And they also have their Britten Norman Islander, which is this airplane right here. Now, I know that they're updating their fleet. They're getting rid of the older aircraft, so they're going to try to transition to just have these Tecnams. And so, if you're wondering, like, well, where do they fly out of? They fly primarily out of the Northeast, so Cape Cod, Hyannis Port, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, so where all the rich people live. Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, New York. They also fly out of the Caribbean, so Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, and the West Indies. And then they also fly in Montana. So, I mean, I understand the Northeast and the Caribbean. I'm not sure why they do Montana, but I guess there's enough demand that they wanted to venture out over there. So if you're young, not married, man, I'd recommend the Caribbean. Maybe not Puerto Rico. That's not the best living situation in terms of safety and what's going on over there. But maybe some of these other places like the U.S. Virgin Islands, or the British Virgin Islands. That's living abroad, and living abroad means that you don't have to pay income tax. I'm not a tax person, so definitely check that for yourself. But Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, those are U.S. territory, so you'd still have to pay U.S. income tax. Or you'll be out in Montana if you like the mountains and beautiful nature. If you're from the Northeast, then hey, you'd probably love flying out of the Northeast. Now for the training, you can read their website, but I just found all this on their capeairpilots.com website just by going about all the different links they have. But one of the nice things about the training is when you get up to the point that you're ready to upgrade to captain, Cape Air will cover the cost of your ATP CTP course for all trainees. Now, back in the day, it used to be that any regional airline will pay for your ATP CTP, but nowadays with the current demand for pilots, they're not really paying for ATP CTP courses. So this is a great way to get your ATP CTP course paid for. All right. By the way, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section, and I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe to this channel. That way, I can be motivated to keep making more videos for you. All right. So, what are the requirements? Now, if you go up, you'll see like the captain requirements, the PIC, but this is a low time pilot video, so go down to first officer. So for first officer, you just have to have a commercial multi-engine pilot certificate with your instrument rating. You have to have a first class medical certificate, 500 hours of total time, 100 hours across country, and notice that that's point to point. I know throughout your training you're used to think of cross-country flights as, any flight, more than 50 nautical miles away, but that's for Part 121. For Part 135, across country is you take off from one airport and you land at a different airport. So let's say you take off from your home airport and you land at another airport that's only 5 miles away. Well, you can count that as cross country time for, Part 135 purposes. So 100 hours across country really isn't that much, considering you've probably been flying to a lot of different airports. All right. So, 25 hours night, 25 hours instrument, and that's actual simulated or a flight training device. So simulated, I mean, you did your instrument rating. You've got the 25 hours probably of simulated instrument time, so that shouldn't be a problem. 25 hours multi-engine preferred. So if you don't have that, they say preferred, so I would just go ahead and apply anyways. Now, if they tell you later, like, hey, you didn't get the job because you don't have the 25 hours of multi-engine, well, go ahead and, try to find a way to get the rest of the multi-engine time you need. But anytime you see preferred, you can pretty much ignore that. Although, if the more you have, the better, because that makes you a stronger candidate when you go to apply. All right, you must be enrolled in a pilot pathway program. So when you go to the you'll see they have their JetBlue University Gateway program, the Lift Academy, but I couldn't find anywhere where it said this internal gateway. So I haven't done, I'm not associated with Cape Air, but I would assume that's like an internal development program. So that's why I would go ahead and apply, even if you're not associated with Cape Air or their Lift Academy, which is their own flight school, or their association with the school, I'm not sure, or JetBlue, a university program. All right. And preferred, remember, anytime we see preferred, you can just ignore that. Go ahead and apply anyways. So they prefer that you have a bachelor's degree from an ABI accredited school. ABI's like, if you know anything about like different types of college, different types of majors, you have like engineering is ABET accredited, business is AACSB. Well, aviation universities, might be ABI accredited. So they prefer a bachelor's degree from an ABI accredited program, but you don't have to have it. Same thing, 1 year full-time instruction. You don't have to, but they do prefer it. All right. And then, we kind of talked about where they fly. So, these are where their pilot bases are here in New England. So all these different locations are their bases. So you could live there. So a lot of these places are going to be pretty expensive to rent by yourself. So you definitely probably want to have a roommate. Maybe Saranac Lake is cheap. I don't know. I'm from Texas, not New York. Montana. So that, I don't know, I guess it depends on the area. And the Caribbean. So if you're not married, don't have kids, or you are married and your partner doesn't mind living in the Caribbean, then yeah, absolutely. I love scuba diving, so I want to be in the Caribbean. And so how are pilot bases assigned? So it's done through a seniority system. So it just depends on the luck of the draw. All right. Well, so one thing I want to tell you about though is, so the minimum time to get hired by Cape Air to be a first officer is 500 hours total time. So I know you're probably thinking, man, I want to avoid working as a flight instructor. But you probably finish your commercial pilot certificate at 250 hours. So how are you going to make up that 250 hours? I hate to say it, but you really need to just go ahead and bite the bullet, work, earn that certified flight instructor certificate. That way you can quickly acquire the rest of the time you need to get hired by someone such as Cape Air. There are other options, but there's nothing that will get you the hours you need as fast and get you paid as well as working as a flight instructor. But that's just my opinion. If you want to find another way, be my guest. I've Googled it all, and I'm just trying to share with you what I found. So, for other videos on low-time pilot jobs, make sure you subscribe so you can find those videos. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Bye.